As an entrepreneur, I would advise people to be careful. The most important factor is time. When you have a good idea, it might not be the right time. It might fail because it's not the right time, not because it's a bad idea. So understand the market first. Understand that there's a timing for everything, and given the right timing, the right idea might just work. Sometimes I tell people, you don't need to shoot for the stars straight away. Just can't start climbing the ladder. I sent a lot of emails. A lot of them went unanswered. Sometimes you have to be patient. You have to keep going, keep sending emails. I had a life experience 2 years ago where I nearly died, right? I had a health issue and it was close, but
Hi everyone, welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Jana. I really hope you enjoyed today's episode, and if you do, please consider subscribing, liking, or leaving a comment down below. I know it's annoying because everyone online asks you to do the same, but it's truly what helps the channel grow. Thank you, and let's get into today's episode. Today, I'm speaking to Bryan Foo-Kune, director of Fashion Hides, of betting company, of quite a few business ventures, part-time DJ, a whole portfolio of achievements to himself. Bryan, welcome to Figuring Out. Really great to have you on the podcast today.
it's good to be there.
So before we get started, it's been great reading about you. Maybe for people who don't know much about you, tell us a bit about you.
My name is Bryan. 35, married, 2 kids. I'm a director of Fashion Hides, which is a retail franchise business. We have a betting company. We have invested in F&B, technology, events, so quite a good portfolio of activities in different business segments. Fashion Hides represents some international brands such as Mando, Senio, Jennifer, Esprit, Nia, Mambo, etc. I would need all of them. It's a little off. We do have a betting company in Mauritius, which does football betting on matches played outside of Mauritius. We are opening 2 restaurants before the end of the year. I am also a casual DJ. I play sometimes, and I'm also an event organizer in Mauritius. I represent a brand called Papi Chulo, which is a Latin and Caribbean music kind of event, which is based in the Netherlands, and I represent them for the Indian Ocean. So I have an event coming up next week. So really upscaling as well.
Yeah, cross fingers for you. Let's go back to the beginning. So we exchanged before we started recording, and we realized we have a few Mauritian friends in common. You studied in the UK, you went to Manchester University. Mainly take us back to, you studied in the UK. What got you to move back to Mauritius?
I did 3 years in the UK, but it was, when I graduated, it was the global financial crisis. There were not a lot of jobs available, and priorities were given first into UK nationals and then to European nationals, and internationals would come in third position. So I told myself the job market is hard, so let's try and move back home, try to start working and see what are the opportunities. And maybe after that, for example, I did accounting finance, so I wanted to see if I could get a job into my field of study. And after that, if there's an opportunity, can go back to the UK to get a job there, maybe in the Big Four, or we'll see how it goes. So came back, started working in accounting, then got a job in finance as a derivatives trader. But I always felt like it wasn't enough. Like I wanted to further my knowledge and further my studies. So I went to an MBA in Australia for a year. Came back, started working again, but then joined the family business, which was the betting company. And from there, started diversifying into retail, into technology, into fashion. So 7 years on, we're here. We have 37 shops representing 13 brands. So, and brands are coming to knock at our doors, and because they want to be represented by a solid group. So we have a few more brands coming up before the end of the year. 2 more brands before the end of the year. So hopefully that goes well.
That's amazing. I'm going to get you in trouble here. Do you have a favorite brand?
Favorite brand? Clothing, maybe. I wear a lot of Esprit. I think it's partly due to when I was studying in the UK, Esprit was my go-to brand. I like the cut, everything about Esprit
I think he was going to rush and go into escrow after this.
I don't know. Hopefully, they have great products.
Amazing. I'll be honest, yeah, the Foo-Kune family is quite well known in the country. Like you said, quite a few brands, quite a few business ventures that you got yourself into. It seems like when you got back there, you didn't jump straight into the family business. And someone like yourself, coming from, if I can use the word privilege, coming from a privileged family background, right? You could have had a starting platform. But then when you were trusting, you say you wanted to try something different. Why?
I wanted to get experience first because I believe that in order to be able to manage a business, you need to experience different departments. You need to have some bit of knowledge about everything. So I wanted to get experience as an employee first to see the interpersonal relationships in the organizational structure. Mm-hmm. So I had 2 jobs out of the family business because I didn't want to get into the family business straight away. I didn't want to be privileged because being privileged and being cocoon, you lack that kind of experience, interpersonal relationship experience with coworkers. If you go straight to the family business, you don't have coworkers, you have employees, right? Mm-hmm. So I didn't want that. I wanted to experience the relationship between coworkers, between the manager, between you and your superior. And this was very beneficial to me. And then I thought that I lacked some knowledge in other departments outside of my field of study. So I wanted to do an MBA, which just like with everything. And after that, I felt like I was ready to get back and into the family business and let's make it grow.
Mm-hmm. Was there a particular challenge that you came across moving from being an employee to employer?
Yes, because being an employee, you wasn't much of a challenge, but it was a privilege to understand that. Why? Because you know the mindset of the employees first. Because being an employee, you get to see how they think and everything, and then how do you manage that? Being an employer, having difficult employees, you learn how to manage this. At first, when I was working as an employee, I didn't want to go into the family business because I said, okay, now I know the mindset, but how do you manage that? So that's what I did in my MBA. I had a course where they teach you how to manage difficult employees. And it was very interesting because they do a lot of role play into the course. So I had to be a difficult employee.
Okay.
And I had a classmate who was supposed to be my manager. And
right.
We just acted in class. It was very interesting, but this gives you an insight into how to deal with it. I think I enjoyed very much.
And I think, especially at this time, I don't know about Mauritius, but I'm presuming that's across the world right now. Wage inflation is such a big topic. People are striking in different parts of the world. Unhappy employees tends to be a thing. I think with your experience as starting and trying to get on your feet first and then being an employer gives you that whole spectrum of hopefully how to manage things.
Yeah, at the moment, like you said, wage inflation is quite big, but after COVID, Mauritius experienced 2 lockdowns, consecutive years. A lot of people were not working, and the qualified workforce, they got opportunities abroad, even for F&B, for example, or even retail. I got opportunities to work on cruise ships because the cruise ships were ashore for 2 years and they needed to start working again. I find that a lot into the F&B business because it's hard to find people into F&B business. All the good elements are going to work abroad. Small insight, we get a lot of applications, but unqualified workforce. Sometimes we give them the interviews and out of 10, sometimes only 2 come, which shows the level of professionalism in Mauritius right now. But hopefully this gets better with time. We've had an episode of revenge spending as well, where after the 2 years of lockdown, people spent like crazy. They shopped a lot, they traveled a lot. And then now we're starting to see like a slowdown into that spending. Nightlife in Mauritius was only weekends, right? Friday and Saturdays. And now nightclubs, since COVID ended, nightclubs are open on Sundays, which brings back to the question, do people work on Monday? Right. And when you see the workforce, people who don't come to work, they don't come to interviews, and nightclubs are opening on Sundays, we see a fall back into the quality of the workforce. So
that's interesting perspective because, yes, it seems like you may have the quantity that maybe not the quality that you're thinking.
Yeah, exactly. And right now the government, I think, is opening up the doors to get foreign labor even into F&B. There used to be a quota of a percentage of foreign labor compared to local labor, and now they up that quota of foreign labor. So I hope Mauritians take knowledge of what's happening, and if they don't want to work, there's always going to be foreign labor that's coming in. If you keep asking for higher salaries without experience and without qualification, it's hard. It's hard.
Right. And you mentioned your exposure to music and your part-time role as a DJ, and we'll get into that. But before that, maybe going back to your businesses, how do you get started? Because we were talking about Mango, that's an international brand. I shop from Mango, for instance. But being in Mauritius, how do you walk us through when you really establish the first point of contact and you're trying to build a franchise so that they can start supplying to Mauritius? How do you go about the process? What do you pitch to them?
Well, the thing is, you knock at the doors, you try to contact. I sent a lot of emails, and a lot of them would unanswered. Some of them, they don't take you seriously. Some of these brands, they are not interested in Mauritius because Mauritius having a small population of 1.2 million, and the spending power is not a lot in Mauritius. You have a small portion of the population who has quite a big spending power, but the majority, the spending power is quite low. So some brands which are more like fast fashion, they don't want fast fashion. You're looking for the mass of the population, right? And they need you to keep spending all year round,
right?
Because it's fast fashion. You wear it for a few months and then you put it aside and you shop.
That's the all day very long.
So a lot of big brands, they are not interested in Mauritius. Sometimes you have to be patient. You have to keep going, keep sending emails, keep sending. Sometimes you even have to take a plane, knock at the doors, write in where they are. I won't say that we've done that a lot, but we started with Mango. So Mango has quite a strong influence in the world of fashion. It's the third largest fashion group in the world. So from there, representing Mango opens you more doors than to start with enough.
Right.
So yeah,
that's amazing because I can draw maybe a parallel to what you're doing to the podcast, for instance. So when I started, the number of no's or people wouldn't even reply because you're trying to build a podcast from nothing really. And then once you do have 1 or 2 guests, you start building, and that's like your benchmark, that's like your reference. And then you pitch to people and you say, well, I had this guest on, it'd be amazing to have you on, which is really great. But tell me, how excited were you when you had the first guest from, say, Mango? What did that mean to you, having a big brand say yes?
So it started with having a big brand, so it was a case of making it work first. Keep pushing, keep investing. We don't want to settle with the portfolio that we have. We're always striving for more brands. We started with Mango, then other brands came in. We got Apple, and then now some brands have contacted me personally on LinkedIn saying, "Oh, we looked at what your group does, and we would like you to represent us in Mauritius." You have different kind of brands. You have A-level brands, B-level brands, C-level brands. I can't name them, but yeah, I mean, you can't represent all brands in the world as well. You have to choose, and you have to manage your portfolio carefully. You don't want to have any brand position, and the portfolio you would to be moment. So you understand portfolio. You need to have diverse brands where you spread the risk factor. Some are like high-end, medium to high, medium to low. You need all of them because, for example, during the COVID period, if we did have a solid portfolio, we would be under already, right? Some brands have done extremely well compared to other brands. But as a group, one supports the other until the storm is over and you get back to...
you need some sort of cushioning in case one brand goes down.
And I've seen that a lot of companies who represent one brand or two brands, they've already closed doors. They were not able to sustain the effects of COVID and lockdowns and everything.
What's your best tip for anyone looking to get started, right? I know it doesn't have to be retail, but given your entrepreneurship experience, what's the best tip?
I see myself more than an entrepreneur and a businessman because I have a lot of good ideas. I think a lot of them went into depression. Some of them we didn't even go ahead. But as an entrepreneur, I would advise people to be careful. The most important factor is timing. When you have a good idea, it might not be the right time. It might fail because it's not the right time, not because it's a bad idea. So understand the market first. Understand that there's a timing for everything, and given the right timing, the right time, the right idea, it might just work. Sometimes I tell people, you don't need to shoot for the stars straight away. Just start climbing the ladder. A lot of people don't like to, they want to do something big straight away, but they don't understand that some businesses are regional. I've given that speech to my high school once, and I told them regional business or cash-laden business. When you want to go national, you need to understand that it's a lot of work, it's a lot of investment, and it's a lot of marketing. For example, a gym business or even a car wash is a regional business. People living in the north, they want to go to the gym in the south, right? So you have to understand that regional business are the ones that make you the most money on a constant timeline. Everything has to start small and build. For example, like I said, even the car wash. People will say, okay, I want to have the biggest car wash company ever. So start small in the know, look for opportunities. For example, one idea that I had was car wash business. It didn't go into fruition, but I would advise people who want to get into it to search for clues such as high density areas, more specifically where there's a lot of apartments. Because when you have apartments, you cannot use the water hose, which is for the building.
Sure.
So you have to bring your own bucket of water from your apartment down the lift or even the stairs to go to your car and wash the car. So what do most people do? They take it to the car wash. So if you want to get into the car wash business, look for a region where there's lots of apartments. It might just work. When I started working as an employee, you get the sense that not everything, you can't take everything for granted, right? You ask for a day off, you might get a yes, you would get a no. But if you're in your own business, you take days off whatever you want. So you don't get that sense of rejection. You don't understand rejection because everyone would just say yes to you because you're the employer, right? You're the boss, and they don't want to frustrate you. They don't want to irritate you. So people tend to say yes more than no. But as an employee, you take a lot of no's, and a few yeses that you get, you have to earn it as well. So this brings you to another experience. And also, I was watching a video yesterday about a comedian called Mark Wright. I don't know if you've heard of him. So he was a comedian. He started as a comedian for a few years, doing 75 people per show, averaging $150 a night per show, right? It's not much. But one day he just went to a international comedy festival and just posted a video from there. And he went there with his crew without getting invited. But it's that level of patience, of perseverance that one video gave him like 20 million views. And from there,
people go back and watch the others too.
Exactly. But it's not that one video. That's what the new generation, I call it the new generation. I'm not that old, but the generation of impatience, like you said, they only see that one video. They don't see all the years of hard work and all the years of hardship behind that video. That video gave him exposure, yes, but without preparation, he wouldn't be where he is right now. And now he's done like 600 shows everywhere, every country. I like Matt Bryan because I think he's funny, and he's simple. He's not like a superstar comedian. He keeps it simple. He engages a lot with the audience. But there's a lot of preparation behind that kind of work, and people tend to see all the glams and all the glitters, but you have to understand that behind that there's a lot more hard work, like the tip of an iceberg. There's a lot of hard work that you don't see, but you have to, if you look for it, understand it, and you take more patience in building something.
And I do think, like, for instance, if you want to build on something on the side, if you're going to stick to your 9 to 5, and once you get back here, and you're not really putting the hours in your 5 to 9, nothing's going to happen, right? And I do think, like, because of the time constraint that we only have 24 hours in a day, eventually you've got to take time out to build it yourself. So to your point, sometimes, yes, you just see the tip of the iceberg and you don't see all the work that's been going in behind. So that's like an important reminder for everyone listening to us.
I think so, because, for example, if I stuck to what I did as a business, I wouldn't get into events and DJing, but it's more...
And you're a married man with kids.
I have 2 kids. But the thing is, I had a life experience 2 years ago where I nearly died, right? I had a health issue and it was close, but I realized that life's short. If you want to do something, if you have a passion, I can at least try to live it. So that year, 2 years ago, I said, okay, it was in August. So I said, okay, I want to DJ, not as a job, but as a hobby, like more of a passion, like at least know how to do it, even if I'm not gonna do it like regularly, but at least know how to do it. So in the December the same year, I started my course. I finished in April, and I didn't plan on going to nightclubs and doing it like every week or anything. I just wanted to know how to do it, and if there's an opportunity, try to enjoy it as much as you can, right? So it's been like less than 2 years after. I've already organized events. I've already played in front of a crowd of 2,500 people.
Oh, wow.
So
we see him DJ Bryan here, or do we have a printer Bryan? Or
I wear different hats different times, so it's important to enjoy life as well, not only working. So you try to enjoy the life doing what you're passionate about. So I think to be able to do DJing, you have to sleep less. You have to do a lot of preparation. Even as DJs as well, a lot of preparation to play this. You just can't go in front of a crowd and just improvise. Improvisation gets you stressed unless you've had years of experience. That's preparation as well. So there's a lot of work in preparing a set for the crowd, understanding what your crowd is, and improvising. Like you have to improvise a little bit depending on the crowd's reaction. So in life and in business, I think it's the same thing. You may have the best ideas, but you have to understand the market. If you understand the market and what the market is looking for, you might find a gap in the market and just step in and cater for that market. It's the same thing for DJing as well. A lot of DJs play certain style of music, and if you understand the crowd and you understand what the crowd is looking for, maybe you can bring something different to the music, and people might just.
How do you manage all of this? And what does your wife say, for instance, when Bryan's at a welcome to me, and then the business, and then I'm sure the kids love having your hair. How do you achieve great balance that you seem to have?
I have to say that I have a wonderful wife that understands me. She's not like keeping a hard line for everything that I want to do. She supports me a lot. Even tonight, I'm DJing at a gig tonight. She will be there. My kids, they love having a cool dad who's a DJ. My eldest one, she keeps telling.
How old is she?
She's 6.
Okay, she's of age where she can brag.
She bragged about it. Oh, my dad is a DJ, and when I go to pick her up at school, her friends are like, "Are you really a DJ?" So they think it's cool, but
it's cool.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of sleepless nights as well. I don't intend on doing DJing full time, not even part time. Like I said, I'm just a casual DJ. I play when there's a nice vibe about it. I play for my friends. Sometimes my cousin's 18th birthday, she asked me to DJ, so I just did that. So I try to keep people happy, and also I wanted to tell the other DJs, don't be scared. I'm not here to take your jobs. I'm just doing it for fun. So.
Do you think that's your way of unwinding?
I think so. I always like music. Every time when we go to the beach, my friends tell me, "Hey, do the playlist. Like, just choose a song on YouTube." So I always like doing that. But I said, you have 1 second between tuning you on YouTube. So that 1 second brings the moment down.
It does.
Yeah. So I said, let's try to reduce that 1 second into transition and learn how to do it. So I think music helps me a lot to unwind and relax. Sometimes I like listening to music alone in the car and just put it on full blast and just think of nothing else.
Yeah, that's really great to hear. And I think it's just so important as well to take time for yourself, especially in this day and age. So it's great to hear that you seem to achieve such a great balance, and I'm sure will be of an inspiration to many other people.
Also.
Great. Bryan, we're getting to the end of the podcast. As a married man, 2 kids, all of this going on for you, and I wish you the very best. What's your hope for the future?
For the future, well, I hope that my kids get to enjoy the beautiful country that they live in. I hope that my kids don't have to leave the country because there's not enough opportunities for them in Mauritius. I don't want to get into politics and getting too political about it, but I hope any government that see it, they try to think about the next generation. Just think about, you don't need to think too far ahead, just think about the next one. And if every generation keeps thinking about the next one, I think that's a great start to do something good.
I was going to say this was going to be the end of the podcast, but you've raised such a good point. Brain drain is a problem in the country, and I'm part of it. I don't know if you want to part of a problem too, but I think even socially, when I think about Mauritius, I always say this to my friends when they're like, "Why are you in London?" And I always say, Mauritius is an amazing place to live. I'm a proud Mauritian, and I'm always trying to get my friends to come and visit, trying to pitch the beauty of the country. But without getting too political here, but we do have a political issue. We do have a political system. I do feel that there's perhaps there could be better meritocracy, better opportunities. And I think as a graduate coming back, you said at the very beginning, you started as a graduate with 12,500 of pay.
Yeah.
I think now the minimum salary is like 15,000, which I agree maybe, we are in a country where you can rely on the family, you can rely on parents. I can use my dad's car, I can rely on my parents, and then eventually try to move out. But it's not enough. And the cost of living is quite high. And you're right, I think brain drain is a problem. And for so long, I've been saying to my parents, yeah, I do want to come back. But I think for me personally, I wanted to have experience, manage to build something in London, and then eventually move back or not.
I don't think I don't think you're part of the problem of brain drain, but it's just a culture of training the next generation of entrepreneurs, right? I think Mauritius is doing some great steps, even for the place where we're here.
Right.
There's a lot of startups, they encourage startups. So entrepreneurship is being encouraged, because a lot of people, for example, a lot of graduates, they just sit at home and say, oh, there's no job for me, the government isn't doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the government's it's not the government's responsibility to always create jobs.
Agreed.
You have to use your brain to think of something, maybe entrepreneurship, where I think we're still a lot of opportunities. The market is not saturated, so there's a lot of business opportunities, but you need to just want to do it. A lot of people, they just want to stay at home and wait for a job opportunity, a 9-to-5 job. They want to get into government, they want to get into civil service, right? But why they want to get into civil service? Because this ensures like safety of security of jobs. But if we encourage more risk takers into building businesses, I think that will encourage more people to come back, because one person who builds a business needs to employ a lot more people. And if everybody can start doing that, that will create more jobs in Mauritius. It's not, the government doesn't create jobs. The government creates an environment where people want to build business, and these businesses create jobs. So I think this is a lot to think about, and I hope that there's a lot of people who want to get into entrepreneurship. It's not an easy job, but it is the most rewarding one, I believe, on personally.
His invention of obviously the job, there is a cap. And Mauritius being a welfare state, and yes, we do, I would slightly disagree with, I think at the basic would be for the government to create a certain number of jobs. But then it comes down to the individual, because there is a cap on how much you're going to get paid. The risk-reward ladder is not necessarily aligned in the government job. So,
well, the government creates jobs in the public sector, but there's always a private sector. And if the private sector is booming, then it will create jobs way faster than the government can, because the government has only a scope of opportunities that they can create jobs in. But I think the private sector has a big role to play in the economy, and there's a big role to play in the job market, and also private sector are more rewarding, even financially on a certain perspective. So these will encourage a lot more people, a lot more Mauritians who are living abroad to come back and have a better life in Mauritius.
And we still have the diaspora scheme, right, which is like, I think after 10 years, like zero income tax. I've tried to keep up today.
Yeah, you need to have residency or passport, citizenship, and then come back. Something like that.
Well, I presume after 10 years, most people would have got it anyway. That is a good point. I'm not very sure. And if anyone knows, please do tell me. But I think it needs to be like a certain number of years. And then once you come back, it's showing you, obviously, you got the professional experience and you start working. So doing like that. So
I don't know a lot of people who have used that.
I know it's one or two. Yeah. That's it. Which is one
guy who did that. But is it effective? It's only taxes, right?
Taxes and
you pay less tax, but the cost of living is rising, and you don't have an enormous salary. You have to do the pros and cons. But if you can picture yourself having a good life in Mauritius where the economy is booming in itself. I think this convinces more people.
Entrepreneurship is the way, Bryan. Yeah. We'll take lessons from you. Well, Bryan, thank you so much. It was amazing talking to you. I think I've learned so much, and I'm sure the listeners will have a lot to say. We'll probably be taking more notes from this chat. But thank you so much. Amazing to have met you in person.
Being here to talk about it, and thank you for having me on your show. Wish you all the best.
Thanks, Bryan.